Welcome to rSlash Am I the Bad Guy, where someone wants to name their daughter Am I the bad guy for calling my sister stupid and her husband's bad parents from the start because of what they want to name their kid? Okay, so just a little context because this topic is incredibly touchy for me. I'm a man who was given a woman's name at birth. A good example is naming your son Alice. That's not what my name was, but it's close. My parents are hippies and gave their oldest son a girl's name to stick it to the man, and I will never forgive them for it. That name caused me to be bullied and damaged my professional life in ways that I cannot describe. My sister is pregnant with her first child, a girl. She and her husband are ecstatic. It just sucks that she inherited my parents' stupid propensity to see their kids' names as fashion statements. Last night, she revealed to the family the name of her daughter. It's what? Guys, I'm doing my best. There's no there are 0 vowels in this name. For those of you who are listening and not reading, it's Crystal, like crystal with a K, except the vowels are replaced with X's. So it's KRX, and then STXL. So if you put it together, it's confused? The name is pronounced Crystal. I already don't like the name, but at least Crystal is appropriate. I was not surprised to learn that my mom helped to come up with that name. When my sister told me, I told her it was a terrible idea. If she wants to name her Crystal, then name her Crystal. She tried to explain to me why the X's are there, and I just told her that it doesn't matter. She's naming a human, not a dog. I don't care what kind of fashion statement she's trying to make. This is a person who will have to live with that name until they die, or has it changed? She and my mom brushed me off as just complaining because I was never able to accept my name. I told my sister she was being either selfish, stupid, or an incredibly strong combination of the two if she thinks that her daughter will want a stupid name like We got into an argument, and I told her that I already see her and her husband as bad parents for using their kid to be some off-brand with her name, and I left right after. My sister is not taking it well, and my mom is furious with me. I'm starting to wonder if I was too harsh. I will not change my opinion of that incredibly stupid name. But I'm wondering if branding her as a bad parent was too far. Oh man. Replacing certain letters in your name with X's is like something you'd see in an Xbox lobby. I mean, come on, man. This is so stupid. Opie, I'm on your side. They deserve to be called out. You're right, they're basically priming their child to be bullied. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving your sister and your mom 2 out of 5 bad guys. Am I the bad guy for moving out of the apartment my parents bought for me after they made me let my brother live there? For clarity, they didn't buy it specifically for me. When I got into university, my parents purchased an apartment close to campus so that I could live my way without having to deal with other people. I'm not social, and I could best be described as either a misanthropist or curmudgeonly. It was great for 2 years, and I came out of my shell a little. I met other people like me, and I discovered that, unlike high school, university isn't hell. I even met a guy. We both work at the campus store. My little brother graduated last year and got into the same school. Rather than stay in the dorm rooms, he convinced my parents to let him move in with me. Well, they own it, so I had no say. I lasted 1 semester. Since he had an off-campus residence, my apartment became party central. I asked my parents to make him stop after talking to him didn't work. They said to loosen up, as if I can just change my personality. I talked to the university, and I was able to snag a rare single room in the mature student dorm. I don't have a lot of stuff, so when we went home for Christmas, I took what was really important to me. While I was away, my boyfriend cleaned out my room in my apartment and moved all of my stuff to my student housing for me. When we drove back after New Year's, I dropped off my brother and then went to my new place. It isn't perfect, but it's pretty sweet. My parents called me and asked where I was. My brother had let them know that I wasn't in the apartment. I told them where I was and why I was there. They were upset because they spent all this money to help me, but I didn't appreciate it. I said I did appreciate it until they stuck me with my brother. Without me there, my brother's having a blast. Good for him. He's also missing a lot of classes and has been fined for noise complaints by the condo board, but that's not my problem. My parents are asking me to please move back in because my brother is in danger of being put on academic probation. I asked if I was allowed to bar him from having parties and stuff. He was part of that conversation, and he was upset that I was asking to be put in charge of him. My parents said that he was allowed some freedom and that as his big sister, I should look out for him and not let him fail. I thanked them for the opportunity, but declined. Also, he recently had a party that the cops had to shut down. My parents are considering selling the apartment, but it's kind of a bad market right now. I feel bad that they might lose money after doing something so awesome for me. And I feel bad that my idiot brother might have to take some time off school to calm down. But I don't think that I'm the bad guy. They all do, though. OP, what your parents are basically saying is, "Sweetie, we bought you a free apartment for 2 years. That means we're allowed to force you to be the parent instead of us because, frankly, we don't want to." I'm giving you 0 out of 5 bad guys, OP. It's not your job to be your brother's babysitter. He's an adult. He's 18. It's time for him to learn that actions have consequences. I'm giving your brother 1.5 out of 5 bad guys for being an inconsiderate roommate, and I'm giving your parents 2 out of 5 bad guys for not treating their 2 kids fairly. Am I the bad guy for selling the house that my brother and his family live in? A few years ago, my brother needed help. I let him move into one of my rental properties, and we did it all legally, lease agreement and everything. Because I was renting to him at a break-even point, we agreed that he was responsible for all the maintenance of the house and yard. Well, he has 4 kids, and the hot water tank isn't enough for his family, and he wants a new one. I told him, go ahead. He then proceeded to take the cost of the hot water tank and installation out of that month's rent. I reminded him of our agreement. He said that he wasn't making improvements on my property for free. I said that the old hot water tank was fine, and he made the decision to replace it. It was a big argument, and I didn't want to fight, so I said that he wasn't allowed to make any further changes to the house without my explicit agreement. So he stopped doing maintenance as a protest. The house itself isn't pretty, but it is solid. It's old, and the wiring in the house wasn't meant for all the modern electronics that he has. He wanted to add a new breaker box and run more outlets, and I said, no thanks. I can't afford that since I'm not making any money on the house. He started getting whiny about it, and the rent started getting paid late. I tried talking to him, but he said that he had to buy some stuff for the house, and he was low on cash. So I sold the house. While the house itself isn't great, it's in an older part of the city, and the property itself is on a 1/4 of an acre. Every time a house sells in this neighborhood, it's snapped up by developers and turned into multifamily units. Or this one guy built a McMansion on his land. I know a lot of developers, and I didn't even need to list the house to have it sold in less than a week. My brother found out when he was served with an eviction notice. He called to ask me, WTF? So I told him that the house was causing me headaches and I had an opportunity to make some money and I took it. He said that I should have offered him a chance to buy it. I said that he was having trouble making rent, so how was he going to qualify for a mortgage? He said that I'm a bad guy and that he has the money, he was just waiting to make me an offer. I asked him if he had the money, why was he late on rent? He started bad-mouthing me to all of our family. A few of them took his side and tried to say that I was being a bad guy, so I offered all of them a chance to clear his debt to me if they wanted to share their opinion. None of them took me up on the offer. My parents are on my side, and they said that I should have never rented to him in the first place. I feel bad for my sister-in-law and the kids, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life subsidizing his. So let's get the brother out of the way. His position is super easy. He got an incredibly generous deal of renting a property at a break-even point, and he basically just dumped on it. He took advantage of OP's good nature and was effectively stealing from OP. So for that reason, I'm giving the brother 2.5 out of 5 bad guys. As for OP, things get a little nuanced here because on the one hand, what OP did was incredibly generous. And yeah, the brother broke the deal they had in place, so I can understand him being frustrated. But still, even though you had every right to sell the house, you could have at least tipped off your brother. And yeah, he probably wasn't realistically going to buy it. But couldn't you have at least warned them as soon as possible that they were going to have to move out? Because they're a family, they're established, it's 6+ people. It takes a lot of time and money to move, so, this is your brother. You couldn't have at least said, hey, I'm selling the house, heads up. So even though OP is more kind than he is mean in this story, I still have to give him a light bad guy score of like 1 out of 5 bad guys because he was being pretty petty to a family member. I think you were fine selling the house, you just should have told your brother what was happening. Still, OP, I want you to know that I'm on your side. I think what you did for your brother was overall incredibly kind. Am I the bad guy for demolishing my daughter's room after she moved out? My 18-year-old daughter, Meg, is in college. She moved in with her boyfriend a few months ago, which left her old bedroom empty. Her bedroom used to be right next to our tiny living room. To make our tiny living room into a normal-sized living room, we knocked out my daughter's room's wall, refloored the space, and fixed the walls. Now it looks like the bedroom was never there, and we have a spacious living room. When my daughter came home to visit and saw that her room is gone, she made a huge deal about it. She got all emotional and said if we never wanted to let her move back, we should have just said so instead of completely demolishing her room. I told her that if anything happens and she needs to move back, we'll welcome her and she could sleep on the couch as long as she wants. But she accused us of wanting to get rid of her forever and for her to never visit us since we got rid of her room so fast, only a few months after she moved out, and we should have waited longer. Am I the bad guy for not waiting longer with the renovation? I'm going to agree with this top comment from Perfect Tangerine. You're the bad guy. Is it that hard to talk with your own kid before doing something so drastic? Not even a warning? That's cold. If I were in the daughter's shoes, I would also feel like I'm not welcome in my childhood home because that's the message you're sending. I'm giving the daughter 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving you 1.5 out of 5 bad guys. Am I the bad guy for exposing my future brother-in-law's shady past to my family? I'm a 37-year-old woman, and I come from a close-knit family. I have 2 younger siblings, a 28-year-old brother and a 27-year-old sister. My sister recently got engaged to my future brother-in-law, a 23-year-old guy, after dating him for around a year. We all know him well, and I've always gotten along with him. He comes from a rough background, but he's always been very polite and charming. He doesn't talk about his own family or about his upbringing. My sister said that it's a painful topic for him, so no one's ever pushed. There was recently a family event that my future brother-in-law attended. He was quiet during the event. Normally, he's high energy and sociable. Then he disappeared for a while. When I went outside for some fresh air, I bumped into him. He was emotional and said that it was a hard day for him due to negative associations. He ended up offloading some quite shocking things from his past, including that he has a history of very serious drug use, including needles, and that he's done sex work with other men and women. I felt for him at the time because he was so upset, literally crying on my shoulder. But afterwards, I felt more and more uncomfortable. I still feel bad for him since he clearly regrets it, but it's very shocking to find out that he has that kind of history, and it does make me feel differently about him. Obviously, I told my husband what my future brother-in-law told me because I didn't feel comfortable keeping it to myself. I also told my sister because I didn't know how honest he had been with her, and it could impact her decision to marry him. She was angry and said that she was fully aware, and it doesn't make her think less of him. I know that others might disagree, but I decided if my sister and future brother-in-law weren't going to bring it up, then it was my responsibility to make sure that my family had the information they needed to make an informed choice about what kind of relationship they have with him. My parents agreed that it was the right thing to do and were grateful. My brother said that he could see my point, but didn't think that it was my responsibility to share that information. My brother's wife thought that I was out of line. When my sister found out that I told our family about my future brother-in-law's sketchy past, she was very angry. She's now refusing to speak to me altogether because apparently this has affected my future brother-in-law quite badly. They're no longer engaged because he thinks that he's not good enough for her, and no one in my family has seen him since all this happened. Obviously, that wasn't my intention, and no one said that he's not good enough. I think it's naive to pretend that you see someone exactly the same way after finding out that they're an addict. Whether you like it or not, there are risks that come with that lifestyle, and relapses are common. I'm concerned that my sister will get hurt, and I don't think it's unreasonable for my family to have access to the same information I do, especially when they're inviting him into their homes and there are children around, etc. Am I the bad guy for informing my family about my future brother-in-law's background? Man, OP tried to write this post in a way that doesn't make it seem like she's being judgmental, but clearly OP is being judgmental. And then, I had a responsibility to tell my family so they could make an informed decision. No, you just wanted to gossip. Let's call it what it is. This is just gossip. You got some juicy tea and you couldn't wait to share it with everyone. OP, you're a bad person. You seem to think that the bad person in this story is the future brother-in-law, but no, it's you. I'm giving the future brother-in-law 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving you 3 out of 5 bad guys. That was rSlash Am I the A, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.